All right, welcome everyone to this deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we are taking a really fascinating journey, I think, into the differences between British and American English.
Yes, specifically vocabulary.
Exactly, the words people use.
And it sounds simple, maybe like just learning a list, but these variations, they actually run pretty deep. They affect how you understand English, how you use it, pretty much everywhere.
Totally. And look, we've got this great stack of source material to work from. It's basically a guide that breaks down all these vocabulary differences across the official proficiency levels.
Yeah, from A1, absolute beginner.
Right up to C2 expert level.
It's like having a map of the vocabulary landscape, showing how these differences aren't just some advanced topic. No, they're baked in right from the very beginning.
So our mission today really is to unpack these sources for you. We're going to pull out the most useful, maybe the most interesting word pairs, and help you understand how these differences actually show up. In everyday chats, maybe more formal settings, professional stuff.
Think of it as a guide to recognizing these words, whichever side of the Atlantic the English is coming from.
Yeah, because understanding this stuff is really key, isn't it, for global English fluency, avoiding confusion.
Definitely. So where do we start?
Okay, let's dive in, starting right at the foundation.
Right, the A1 level stuff from the sources. These are the words for, everyday things, basic actions, stuff you'd learn in your first few English lessons.
They seem simple, maybe, but they highlight the core ideas straight away.
Exactly.
Think about where you live. In the UK, you might say you live in a flat.
Whereas in the US, that'd be an apartment. So I live in a small flat.
Versus I live in a small apartment. Simple?
Yep. Or how you go up in a tall building.
In the UK, take the lift to the third floor.
And in the US, take the elevator to the third floor.
Right. What about big vehicles on the road?
UK, a big lorry passed by.
US, a big truck passed by. Very common one, that.
And, a favorite, especially with a cup of tea.
Ah, yes. UK, I love eating biscuits with tea.
US, I love eating cookies with coffee. Or tea. Cookies are good anytime.
True. What about time off work or school?
UK. She is on holiday in Italy.
US. She is on vacation in Italy.
And something you need when it gets dark.
UK. It's dark, get a torch. US. It's dark, get a flashlight.
How about receiving letters?
UK. I got your letter in the post.
US. I got your letter in the mail. Post versus mail. And there's waste. UK. Put the rubbish in the bin.
US. Put the trash in the bin. Or sometimes trash can. We'll see more bin words later.
Oh, yeah. What about clothes for cold weather?
UK. Wear your jumper, it's cold.
OS. Wear your sweater, it's cold.
Jumper, sweater.
And stuff for babies.
Yeah.
UK. The baby needs a new nappy.
US. The baby needs a new diaper.
And that other baby thing? UK dummy.
US pacifier. And our source actually listed that dummy pacifier pair twice for A1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really sort of hammers home how basic and common that one is.
It does. Okay, getting groceries around the supermarket. UK. Get a trolley for the groceries. Although the source also lists shopping trolley.
Right, versus US. Get a cart for the groceries. Or shopping cart.
And another word for the rubbish container. UK. Put it in the dustbin.
US. Put it in the garbage can. So many words for bins.
And water in the kitchen or bathroom.
UK.
Turn off the tap.
US. Turn off the faucet. And that's another one, tap faucets. That comes up again later. It's super basic.
Definitely. So these A1 words, they're simple, but they show you right from the start. The English word you learn might depend on who you're talking to or what you're reading.
British or American. It's the foundation, really.
Absolutely. They set the stage perfectly.
Okay, let's step it up. B1 level.
Right. So our sources suggest that here we're getting into words you need more for, like navigating daily life, travel, maybe more routine interactions.
Yeah, moving beyond just naming objects to actually, doing things.
Exactly. Think transport, money, commonplaces.
Like fuel for your car, UK.
I need to get some petrol. I need to get some gas. And the place you get it, UK petrol station, US gas station. Makes sense.
And those big roads between cities.
UK. We drove on the motorway for hours.
US. We drove on the freeway for hours.
And also those roads with a barrier down the middle. UK dual carriageway.
US divided highway. Yeah, we'll see that dual carriageway again.
Okay, booking things ahead. Hotel room, maybe?
UK. I have a booking at the hotel.
US. I have a reservation at the hotel. Booking, reservation.
Dress codes for mail or post.
UK. What's your postcode?
US. What's your zip code?
What about the season after summer?
UK.
Okay.
The trees change color in autumn. Love that word.
US. The trees change color in fall. Also nice and descriptive.
Getting around underground in cities.
UK. I take the underground to work. Or the tube in London specifically.
US. I take the subway to work.
Buying a travel ticket for there and back.
UK. She bought a return ticket to Edinburgh.
US. She bought a round-trip ticket to Boston. Return. Round trip.
Okay. Throwing things away again.
UK. Throw it in the bin.
US. Throw it in the trash can. Yeah, see? Bin, trash can, rubbish, trash, dustbin, garbage can. It's a theme.
It is? Where you go? In public.
UK. Where's the toilet, please?
US. Where's the restroom, please? Or sometimes bathroom.
Waiting your turn.
UK. We waited in a long queue. That's spelling. Q-U-E-U-E.
Huh. Yeah. US. We waited in a long line. Much simpler.
Needing a car just for a short time.
UK. We need to hire a car.
US. We need to rent a car. And this hire versus rent thing, that's another one that spans different levels, comes up again.
Good point. Asking for the payment thing at a restaurant.
UK. Can I get the bill, please?
US. Can I get the check, please? Bill. Check.
Places you buy things.
UK. Let's go to the shop.
US. Let's go to the store.
Getting cash out.
UK. There's a cash point near the station.
US. There's an ATM near the station. Cash point, ATM.
What about paper money?
UK. You gave me a 10-pound note.
US. You gave me a $10 bill. Note bill.
Clothing again. That thing worn with a suit under the jacket.
UK. He wore a smart waistcoat.
US. He wore a smart vest. Vest means something else in the UK, usually underwear.
Ah, good clarification.
Yeah.
And those sports shoes are back.
Yep. UK. She bought new trainers.
US. She bought new sneakers. Seeing them again at B1 after A1 just shows how common they are, doesn't it?
It really does. And watching something at the cinema or movie theater.
UK. Do you want to see a film?
US. Do you want to see a movie? Film. Movie.
So B1, definitely practical everyday situations, stuff you need for travel, shopping, just getting around.
Yeah, it shows the differences aren't just nouns, it's common actions, places too. Essential stuff.
Exactly. These words help you function in real life in either context.
Yeah.
Building on that A1 base.
All right, onwards. B2 level.
Okay, B2. Now, our sources indicate we're moving into vocabulary that's more relevant for, say, professional life, social situations, business, maybe media, more nuanced conversations.
Right. At B2, you're expected to handle more complex communication, aren't you? Like writing emails, discussions, understanding news reports.
Precisely. And the vocabulary reflects that. Think jobs, education, more specific items.
Okay, like applying for a job, you send your...
I sent my CV to 3 companies. Curriculum vitae.
Yeah.
I sent my resume to 3 companies. Different words for that summary.
What you might go for help finding work.
UK. He visited the job center to look for work.
US. He visited the employment office to look for work.
Legal professional.
UK. You should speak to a solicitor.
US. You should speak to a lawyer. And that's interesting because solicitor in the UK is different from a barrister.
Right. We'll get to barrister later. Lawyer or attorney in the US tends to cover both.
Yeah. And look, Hirant is back again. This time, maybe for something bigger.
UK. We're going to hire a van for the weekend.
OS. We're going to rent a van for the weekend. It really shows hire is broader in the UK for temporary rentals.
Good point. What about higher education places?
UK. She's studying chemistry at university.
US. She's studying chemistry at college. Now this one can trip people up. Well, college in the UK often means something different, maybe pre-university or part of a university. In the US, college is the main word for getting your bachelor's degree.
Ah, okay. Good distinction. Results on tests.
UK. He got a good mark on the tests.
He got a good grade on the test.
Yeah.
Mark grade. Also comes up later, I think.
Preparing for those tests.
UK. I'm doing some revision for the exam.
US. I'm studying for the exam. Or maybe reviewing. That UK word revision specifically means going over stuff you've already learned, right?
Exactly. The boss of a school.
UK. The head teacher gave a speech.
US. The principal gave a speech. And they're number 2. UK. Deputy head teacher.
US. Vice principal.
School year parts.
UK. The first term starts in September.
US. The first semester starts in September, though some US places use quarters.
Okay. Something comfy you wear at home, maybe over pajama.
UK. He walked out in a dressing gown.
US. He walked out in a bathrobe.
Covering a little cut.
UK. I need a plaster for my finger.
US. I need a Band-Aid for my finger. And Band-Aid is actually a brand name, isn't it?
Yeah, it's become the general word in the US, like Hoover for vacuum cleaner in the UK sometimes.
Gotcha. The kitchen appliance you cook on.
UK, there's something burning on the cooker.
US, there's something burning on the stove. Cooker, stove.
And look, tap faucet again.
UK, turn off the tap, please.
US, turn off the faucet, please.
Yeah.
Just reinforcing how common that one is.
What about the grassy area outside your house?
UK, the children are playing in the garden.
US, the children are playing in the yard. Americans have gardens too, but it usually means the flower or vegetable patch, right?
Yeah.
Not the whole lawn area.
Exactly. Erasing pencil marks.
UK, use a rubber to fix the pencil marks.
US, use an eraser to fix the pencil marks. This one's famous for causing confusion or giggles because rubber means something else in US slang.
It certainly can. A public holiday.
UK, Monday is a bank holiday.
US, Monday's a public holiday.
That divided road term is back too.
UK, be careful on the dual carriageway.
US, be careful on the divided highway. Definitely a B2 level road term.
And related to hire rent, but specifically for cars.
UK, we arranged car hire in Spain.
US, we arranged car rental in Spain. Makes sense.
Turning something the opposite way to a clock.
UK, turn the lid anti-clockwise to open.
US, turn the lid counterclockwise to open.
So these B2 words, definitely more professional, academic, but still mixing with daily life.
Yeah, it just shows the vocabulary split continues even as things get more sophisticated.
Absolutely. Knowing these is pretty crucial if you're studying, working, or just having deeper chats in either British or American English.
Which brings us neatly to the top levels in our sources, C1 and C2.
Right, expert territory. This is vocabulary you'd find in formal settings, academic work, legal stuff, government, really specialized areas.
The sources list them separately, C1 then C2, but we can think of them together as the most advanced differences.
Yeah, and at this level, precision really matters. Understanding these specific terms is vital if you're reading legal docs, academic papers, policy discussions, that kind of thing.
Okay, let's pull some from the C1 list first. Academic stuff, like the course plan.
UK. The syllabus is available online.
US, the course outline is available online. Syllabus, course outline.
Test results again. UK, he got full marks in maths. Notice the es on maths.
Yo es, he got full grades in math. No es, and the source also gives UK marks scheme.
Right, for the US grading rubric, how they actually calculate the marks or grades.
Selling houses.
UK, we found the house through an estate agent.
US, we found the house through a realtor.
That announcement system in stations or schools.
UK, the message was broadcast on the tannoy, which is another brand name, isn't it?
Just like Band-Aids. US, the message was broadcast on the PA system, public address system.
University teachers.
Yeah, the lecturer explained the topic clearly.
US, the professor explained the topic clearly. Though lecturer is a specific role in the UK, professor is used more broadly in the US.
Student housing on campus.
UK, he lives in a hall of residence.
Yeah.
Often shortened to halls.
US.
Yeah.
He lives in a dormitory, usually shortened to dorm.
Skipping school, but informally.
UK. They bunked off chemistry today. Very British slang, bunked off.
US, they skipped class today.
Yeah.
More straightforward.
Okay. State-funded schools, this one's important. UK.
He went to a state school.
US.
He went to a public school. And this is a huge trap.
Why that?
Because in the UK, a public school is actually a very posh, expensive private school. The opposite of what it means in the US.
Wow, okay. That's a big one to know. School year levels.
UK, she's in 5th form.
US, she's in 10th grade. Completely different systems for numbering the years.
Students doing masters or PhDs.
UK, he's a postgraduate at Oxford.
He's a graduate student at Harvard, postgraduate, graduate student.
What about when someone's ill in the place?
UK, he's been in hospital for 3 days. Note, in hospital.
US, he's been in the hospital for 3 days, just adding that little the.
Buying something big over time.
UK, we bought it on hire purchase.
US, we bought it on an installment plan.
Part of a road, like one side of a dual carriageway.
UK, use the right-hand carriageway.
US, use the right-hand lane. So carriageway relates to lane here.
A big disagreement.
UK, they had a terrible row. R-O-W.
They had a terrible argument. That noun row for argument is very UK.
Studying for tests again.
UK. She's doing revision for finals. Revisiting that B2 word revision.
US. She's reviewing for finals.
A plan of classes or appointments.
UK. The new timetable starts Monday.
US. The new schedule starts Monday. Timetable, schedule.
A practice run.
UK. Let's do a dummy run before the event.
US. Let's do a dry run before the event. Dummy run, dry run.
Okay, now pushing into the C2 list. Even more specialized, right? Legal, government, business.
Absolutely. These are terms you might only see in very specific, formal, or technical contexts, like law.
Yeah.
We had solicitor earlier, now UK.
The barrister presented the case. The attorney presented the case. Remember, barrister is the UK lawyer who argues in higher courts, distinct from a solicitor. Attorney covers it in the US.
Got it. Legal case documents.
UK, she reviewed the client's brief.
US, she reviewed the client's case file.
A type of court in the UK.
UK, he was tried in Crown Court.
US, he was tried in criminal court. Different court names.
They were at work.
UK, she works in the public sector, and the person.
A civil servant.
US,
Yeah.
she works in government service, and the person. A government employee.
Local government bodies.
UK, the local authority manages education.
US, the county government manages education. Local authority, county government.
Losing your job due to company cuts. UK, she lost her job through redundancy.
US, she lost her job in a layoff. Redundancy layoff. A formal hearing or panel.
UK, the matter was referred to a tribunal. US, the matter was referred to a hearing.
Oh, a tricky tax one.
Yeah.
Someone living abroad but not fully taxed there.
UK, he's a non-dom for tax purposes, short for non-domiciled.
US, he's a non-resident alien for tax purposes. Very specific jargon.
Vacation time from work.
UK, check your holiday entitlement in the contract.
US, check your paid time off in the contract, or PTO.
That official form when you leave a job in the UK.
UK, you'll receive a P45 when you leave. Everyone in the UK knows what a P45 is.
US, you'll receive a termination notice when you leave. More descriptive.
Funeral director.
UK, the undertaker arranged the funeral.
US, the mortician arranged the funeral.
Big outdoor advert.
UK, they put up an ad on a hoarding.
US, they put up an ad on a billboard. Hoarding? Billboard.
Getting time off for working extra?
He took a lieu day after working the weekend. Day in lieu.
US, he took a comp day after working the weekend, short for compensatory.
A quick reply email just to say you got something.
UK, we send a holding reply to the client.
US, we send an acknowledgement email to the client. Useful business terms.
Sending out bills.
UK, our invoicing system is automatic.
US, our billing system is automatic. Invoicing, billing. Okay, informal word for getting fired.
UK, he was sacked for misconduct, and the source flags this as informal.
US, he was fired for misconduct, also informal compared to terminated.
Military living place.
UK, he's stationed at the barracks, using the plural form.
US, he's stationed at a military base.
A legal challenge to a public body's decision.
UK, they requested a judicial review.
US, they filed a court appeal. Similar ideas, but potentially different processes. And that specific UK thing, a quasi-governmental body.
UK, the Quango was dissolved last year. QUANGO.
US equivalent might be something like, the semi-private agency was shut down last year. Quango is very UK specific.
Phew. So these C1 and C2 terms, they really drive home that the differences go way beyond everyday objects.
Yeah, they're embedded in the systems, aren't they? Law, government, education, business. You need a pretty deep understanding of the context.
And that's really the main takeaway. Looking across all these levels, A1 right up to C2, the pattern's crystal clear. These vocabulary differences exist across the whole spectrum of English.
And the crucial thing, I think, is that knowing the difference isn't just about swapping words. It's about understanding the concepts behind them, especially at these higher levels.
Exactly. Knowing the UK term versus the US term helps you tailor your language, understand your audience better.
Whether you're, writing a report, giving a presentation, traveling, reading the news, dealing with official stuff.
Recognizing these variations just makes your communication so much more effective. And like we saw with words like tap faucet, higher rent, trainer sneakers, dual carriageway, mark grade, revision.
Right, the ones that kept popping up.
Yeah, some are just so fundamental they appear at multiple levels. Knowing those differences is particularly useful.
And noticing the little details the source pointed out, like sacked being informal, or that tiny preposition in hospital, or the massive difference in meaning for public school, that adds another layer, doesn't it, towards real fluency.
It's all about appreciating the variation within English itself and just being equipped to navigate it all confidently.
So now that you've heard how these differences stretch all the way from a simple tap or faucet right up to complex legal terms like barrister or governmental things like a quango, maybe think about how knowing this might change how you listen or speak next time.
Yeah, which pairs surprised you the most? How could knowing these help you when you next read an article or watch a show or chat with someone from the UK or the US? Something to think about. Ever get that feeling like you're kind of missing out on a secret code. When you're listening to native English speakers, it's like they're speaking a whole other language almost.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, get ready, because today we're going to crack that code.
All right.
We're diving deep into English colloquialisms, those super informal words and phrases that give the language its color and personality,
It's true.
So, like, think of it as learning the secret handshake to a really cool club.
Exactly. It's like you're in the know.
Totally. And we've got this awesome job, English colloquialisms, 24 words you need to know, to help us along the way.
Nice.
So get ready to not just understand these words, but to actually use them.
Yes.
Confidently in your own conversations.
Yeah.
Sound more like a native speaker.
Absolutely. Consider this your crash course.
Okay, so before we jump into the nitty-gritty, like the actual words themselves, can you tell us, why are colloquialisms so important in the first place? I mean, couldn't we all just, stick to those formal grammar rules and call it a day?
Well, yeah, I guess you could, but you'd sound a bit, I don't know, robotic, maybe?
Right.
Colloquialisms give you that feel for, like, the natural rhythm and the flow of spoken English, which is super important.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and they're just essential, really, for understanding everyday conversations, especially if you're into things like media, music, travel.
For sure.
Just connecting with native speakers on a more casual level.
It's like the difference between, I don't know, reading sheet music and actually jamming with a band. Right? You get that energy and that spontaneity.
Totally. That's a great way to put it. So are you ready to jump into these 24 colloquialisms and see how they can bring your English to life?
Let's do it. All right. First up, we have gonna, short for, as you probably know, going to, like, I'm going to grab some coffee. Want anything.
Simple, right.
So straightforward.
Yeah, it's a contraction, which is, like, super common in informal speech. Just like, want to, and like, do you want to hang out later? It's all about, making the language flow more smoothly. Sound more natural.
I love that. It's like the linguistic equivalent of wearing comfy clothes.
That's such a good analogy. And it shows how those lines between spoken and written language are, like, blurring,
Definitely.
Especially with things like texting, social media, all that.
So true. Okay, next one on the list. Gimme, short for give me. The guide has this example. Give me a second to grab my jacket.
It's direct, informal, perfect for those, like, casual, everyday conversations.
Right. But maybe not for a job interview, probably.
Yeah. Context is key with this one. You wouldn't use gimme in a formal setting.
Gotcha. All right. How about lemme, the casual way of saying let me check my schedule and get back to you. What do you think? Does lemme feel a bit softer than gimme?
That's a good observation. I think you're right. Gimme is more about, like, asking for something directly.
Yeah.
While lemme suggests you're kind of offering to do something for the other person. Like, let me help you with that.
It's interesting, right? That subtle difference in tone.
Absolutely. The intention behind the words.
Totally. Okay, on to outer, meaning obviously out of, as in I'm out of milk, so I need to go to the store. I feel like I use this one all the time without even thinking about it.
It just rolls off the tongue, right? It's just so natural and efficient, especially when you're speaking. It's like you said, you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. Now, what about dunno? Short for, I don't know, of course, example. I don't know if I can make it to the party. This one feels pretty universal, would you say?
I'd say so, yeah. It's used pretty widely, but it's always good to remember that context matters,
True.
Like, if you're chatting with a friend, dunno is perfectly fine. But if you're talking to your boss or professor or someone like that, you might want to stick with, I don't know.
To be on the safe side.
Exactly. It just sounds a little more professional.
Good point. Now, here's a pair that can sometimes trip people up. Kinda and sorta, both meaning kind of or somewhat. The guide gives us these examples. It's kind of cold outside, maybe wear a jacket, and I'm sort of tired, but I can still go out. So to you, are these two completely interchangeable?
That's a tricky one. They're very close, but to me, kinda implies a bit more of a greater degree than sorta. So, like, kinda cold suggests it's definitely chilly.
Oh.
While sorta tired could just mean, you feeling a little sleepy.
So there are subtle distinctions. Good to keep in mind. What about y'all? This one seems to have some regional flavor to it.
Definitely. Y'all, of course, is a contraction of you all, and it's super iconic in the southern United States.
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Right. But, it's interesting because I think it's spreading to other areas, too.
Really?
Yeah. I think a lot of that is probably because of its use in popular music.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And on social media and things like that.
It's amazing how language spreads. Okay, now, ain't. This one could be a little, tricky to navigate. It's that very informal way of saying am not, is not, are not, have not, has not, basically a lot of nots. The guy gives us the example, he can't come into the party. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, ain't has a long and complicated history, right? But in a lot of contexts, it's considered, well, grammatically incorrect.
Right.
And it can even sound uneducated.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's definitely one to, use with caution.
Agreed. All right, how about bet, which has become like this super popular way to say, okay, like you agree with something.
Right.
Like you want to grab lunch, bet.
Oh, yeah, I hear that one all the time.
Me too. It feels very current.
It does. Bet has become super popular in recent years, especially among younger generations. It's like it conveys that sense of enthusiasm, like you're totally on board with whatever was just said.
Like a verbal high five, almost.
Exactly. I like that.
All right, next we have busted, meaning basically caught doing something wrong. The example is he got busted for cheating on the test. This one definitely has a little more drama to it, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. And it shows how colloquialisms often draw on imagery.
Oh, interesting.
And metaphor, busted evokes that sense of being exposed. Caught red-handed, like, oh, no.
Now, for chill, meaning to relax, stay calm. The example here is, let's just chill at home tonight. I feel like this is such a versatile word. What do you think?
I'd agree with that. It is really versatile. You can use it as a verb, an adjective, even a noun. It reflects a certain attitude, like a laid-back attitude and that desire to, like, just take things easy.
Chill is definitely a vibe. Okay, how about no biggie, meaning, no problem, don't worry about it. Example, thanks for helping, no biggie. This is one of my go-to phrases. What about you?
Oh, yeah, it's a great one. It's a nice way to kind of downplay a situation, make someone feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Show you're easygoing.
Totally. All right, ready for a few rapid-fire colloquialisms?
Hit me.
Okay, first up is bummer, meaning disappointment. Short and sweet, like that's a bummer. Then we have hangry, that perfect blend of hangry and angry, like, I'm so hangry right now. I think we've all been there at some point.
Oh, for sure. That feeling when your stomach is grumbling and your mood just plummets.
Exactly. It's such a relatable feeling, isn't it? Okay, how about crush it, meaning to do something really well, like you crush that presentation. It's a great way to, like, pump someone up.
It is. It's so encouraging,
All right, now for crash, meaning to sleep, but kind of suddenly, usually because you're super tired. The example is, I'm going to crash early tonight. And then we have wrap up, meaning to finish something, like, okay, let's wrap up this meeting.
That's a good one for signaling, that it's time to move on.
Definitely.
Include that task or whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. Now for one of my favorites, spill the tea, which basically means to share some juicy gossip, like, come on, spill the tea.
Yeah, I love that one. It's so playful. It speaks to our fascination, I think, with stories.
Oh, yeah.
And secrets.
Absolutely. Then there's hyped, meaning excited, full of energy. Example, I'm hyped for the game.
Contagious energy.
Exactly. All right, what about flaky? This one means unreliable, as in she's so flaky, she cancels plans all the time. It's not the most flattering adjective, but it's definitely good to know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's not exactly a compliment, is it?
Not really.
But it does describe someone who's, well, inconsistent,
right?
Unreliable, letting others down.
Yeah, not the best quality. Okay, last few. Hit up, meaning to contact someone, like, I'll hit you up later.
Casual and friendly.
Totally. And last but not least, we have that classic slang word dope, which just means cool or awesome. Example, that new movie is dope. What do you think about this one?
I like it. Dope is super versatile,
Yeah.
You can use it for anything, music, fashion, experiences.
So true. So we've just explored 24 awesome colloquialisms. What stands out to you from all these words and phrases?
What really fascinates me is how these seemingly simple words and phrases act as windows into a culture. Like they reveal so much about our values, our humor, our shared experiences.
Like they're little cultural fingerprints. Each one tells a story.
Exactly. And they're constantly evolving too,
Oh, yeah.
New colloquialisms popping up all the time.
Right.
Driven by like younger generations and influenced by things like social media and pop culture.
That makes me wonder, what does this constant evolution of language, what does it mean for someone who is learning English, as a second language?
That's a good question. I think it means that, mastering the language goes beyond just textbooks and those formal grammar rules.
Right.
It's about immersing yourself in the real world, the way it's spoken, written by native speakers. And that definitely includes embracing these like colorful colloquialisms.
Exactly. So where do you even begin with that? Like, how can you start incorporating these words and phrases into your own speech without feeling, I don't know, awkward, self-conscious?
That's a good point. I'd say start small,
Yeah.
and focus on building confidence. Like, pay attention to how these words are used in, I don't know, movies, music, podcasts, even just like everyday conversations that you hear.
Yeah.
Maybe try using a few with friends or family
Right.
who can give you feedback, help you get comfortable with them.
Like anything, the more you practice, the more natural it'll become. Don't be afraid to just like experiment and have fun with it.
Exactly. Language is a tool for connection, expression.
Yeah.
So, embrace the richness, the diversity of English, Don't shy away from these colloquialisms. They're a big part of what makes the language so vibrant,
Right.
engaging.
Absolutely. Well, folks, you've just leveled up your English vocabulary with these 24 awesome colloquialisms, ready to add some personality and flair to your conversations. But here's one last thought for you to ponder. We've talked a lot about how language is constantly evolving.
Right.
So what new colloquialisms have you noticed lately? Maybe in your own interactions or, in the media that you consume. Where do you think they came from and how might they be shaping the way we speak? Keep your ear open, stay curious, and keep diving deep into the ever-changing world of language.
I love that. Keep exploring. It's really amazing, how these little words can tell us so much about how we connect,
True.
how we communicate as a culture.
It's like each one is a little puzzle piece.
Right.
That helps us see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And these pieces, they're always shifting, changing, Think about how technology, social media, they've completely changed the way we speak.
Definitely.
Just in the last few years, new words popping up all the time.
So true. It seems like for anyone learning English, mastering these colloquialisms, it's key to really understanding the language.
Absolutely. It's about going beyond the textbook, right?
Yeah.
And immersing yourself in how English is actually spoken, how people use it in the real world.
So where do you even start with that? How can someone, start incorporating these colloquialisms into their own speech without feeling self-conscious?
Well, I think the first step is just to pay attention, really listen to how native speakers are using these words and phrases.
Yeah.
Whether it's in movies, music, podcast, or just everyday conversations. Try to pick up on those subtle ways that they use these expressions to convey meaning and emotion.
It's like training your ear to recognize those little gems,
Exactly. And then don't be afraid to try them out yourself,
Yeah.
Start with a few that feel comfortable and go from there.
It's all about practice.
Yeah.
Building that confidence.
Exactly. Just learning any new skill. And remember, language is a living, breathing thing. It's constantly changing. So just, enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we've explored 24 awesome colloquialisms. You're ready to add some personality and flair to your conversations. But as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you. As language continues to evolve, what new colloquialisms have you noticed? Where do you think they came from? How are they changing the way we communicate? Keep exploring, stay curious, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of language. 6CDR.
All right. Ready to unlock some seriously impressive vocab? We're diving into 15 words that can really level up your English fluency. According to our source, these are the words that separate casual speakers from the truly fluent.
It's amazing how certain words just have that extra oomph, Like they carry this aura of sophistication.
Exactly. So we're not just defining them, we're going deep, exploring their history, cultural impact, even their psychological power.
It's about more than just sounding smart, right?
Yeah.
It's about unlocking a whole new level of expression.
Okay, first up is ubiquitous. It means being or seeming to be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
The example they give is smartphones have become ubiquitous in modern society. Pretty accurate, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. But it's interesting, right? Ubiquitous isn't just about physical presence. It's about ideas or phenomena that permeate everything. Think about the concept of data these days.
Oh, well, that's a good one.
It's not just on our phones anymore. It's in the cloud, driving algorithms, shaping how we experience the world. Data's become truly ubiquitous.
Right. It's you can't escape it. It's not just about seeing it everywhere. It's about feeling its influence constantly.
Exactly. It's almost like the air we breathe. We don't really notice it until it's gone or polluted.
All right. Next word is ephemeral. This one means lasting for a very short time, fleeting.
Got it.
The source gives the example, fashion trends are often ephemeral, changing every season.
Oh, that's so true.
Right. Makes you think about how we perceive beauty and value. Do we appreciate things more because they're fleeting?
Oh, that is a good question. And it's not just objects, right? It's experiences too.
Yeah.
Like a sunset, a conversation, a moment of pure joy. These are all ephemeral. but they can have a lasting impact, don't you think?
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to altruistic. It means showing a disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Unselfish.
Okay.
So the example is, her altruistic nature led her to volunteer at the shelter every weekend.
Makes you think, huh?
Yeah. Like, is altruism something we're born with, or is it learned?
That's the age-old question, right?
Yeah.
Nature versus nurture.
Right.
Maybe it's a bit of both. Like, we may have a predisposition towards empathy, but our experiences shape how we act.
That makes sense. Okay, getting a bit darker now. Pernicious. It means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way.
Okay.
The source says, misinformation can have a pernicious impact on society.
Oh, especially these days.
Definitely. It's not always a blatant lie, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a twist of the truth that slowly erodes trust.
It's like a slow-acting poison almost. It weakens its victim gradually. Think about historical propaganda.
Yeah.
It wasn't always straight-up lies. It was carefully crafted narrative playing on fears and prejudices. It's scary how effective it can be.
Absolutely. All right, time for a slightly more positive one.
Yeah.
Prolific, meaning producing something abundantly. Fertile.
Okay.
They highlight Shakespeare, saying Shakespeare was a prolific writer, producing dozens of plays and sonnets.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Right. But it's not just quantity, it's the quality and impact of the work. Absolutely. Think of someone like Leonardo da Vinci. Painter, sculptor, inventor, scientist. His mind was overflowing with ideas.
It really makes you wonder, what are the conditions that foster that kind of prolific creativity?
Right. Is it personality, environment, a bit of divine inspiration? Who knows? Maybe a unique mix of everything.
Fascinating. Okay, this next one might raise a few eyebrows. Sycophant. A person who tries to win favor from wealthy or influential people by flattering them.
Oh, the classic sycophant.
Right. They give the example, he's such a sycophant, always agreeing with the boss just to get a promotion.
It's not always about career advancement, though, is it? Sometimes it's social status, wanting to be part of the in crowd.
True. But you're right. True power and influence rarely come from just being a sycophant.
Nope. People can usually see right through it.
Okay, get ready to feel brainy. Esoteric, meaning intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest.
Interesting one.
So the example here is, quantum physics is an esoteric subject that few people truly understand.
Very true.
Right. It's something complex, but also incredibly fascinating.
It's like finding a hidden door in a familiar house, you know?
Yeah.
You know there's something cool behind it, but you need the right key to unlock it.
Oh, I love that analogy. Okay, this one might be a mouthful. Obfuscate, meaning to make something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible.
Okay.
They say, the politician obfuscated his response to avoid answering directly.
Classic.
Right, it's like a magician using misdirection.
Exactly. It's a smokescreen of words leaving you confused. And it's not just politicians. We see it in marketing, legal documents, even everyday conversations when people are avoiding confrontation.
Totally. This next word has a sense of simplicity. Austere, meaning severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance.
Got it.
They give the example, monks often live in austere conditions with few possessions. But it's interesting, austerity can be both appealing and repelling.
Right. Like for some, it represents discipline, self-control, a rejection of excess. But for others, it can feel cold, harsh, even punishing.
It's all about perspective, right? What's liberating for one person might feel constricting for another.
Exactly. That's what's so great about language. It lets us explore these nuances.
Absolutely. Speaking of different perceptions, next up is fastidious, meaning very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail.
Okay.
The example is, she is a fastidious editor spotting even the tiniest mistakes.
I can relate to that.
Right. It's a blessing and a curse.
Imagine having a really fastidious roommate, always tidying up, double-checking everything. Could be a bit much, right?
I can imagine. Okay, I think we can all relate to this one. Lethargic, meaning affected by lethargy, sluggish and apathetic.
We've all been there.
The source says, after staying up all night, I felt lethargic all day.
Yep.
Super relatable, but important to note that persistent lethargy can be a sign of something more serious.
Absolutely. Don't just ignore it if it's going on for a long time.
This next word is all about generosity. Magnanimous, meaning very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than oneself.
Okay.
The example they give is, Despite losing, Hughes was magnanimous in congratulating the winner.
Shows real character.
It does, right. It makes you think about humility and sportsmanship.
It's about recognizing that there's more to life than winning or losing. It's about acknowledging others even when you're disappointed. It's a quality we could use more of these days.
Absolutely. Okay, getting a bit mysterious now. Clandestine, meaning kept secret or done secretively, especially because illicit.
Ooh, intrigue.
Right. The example is they held a clandestine meeting late at night.
Love it.
So clandestine activities aren't always spy stuff, right? They can happen in everyday life when there's a need for secrecy.
Definitely. Like, imagine activists organizing a protest in a place where it's dangerous. They might have to meet in secret, communicate in code. Their actions might be clandestine, but their motives could be noble.
That's a good point. Okay, last word for this part. Mitigate, meaning to make something less severe, serious, or painful.
Okay.
The example is pretty straightforward. Wearing a seatbelt mitigates the risk of injury in an accident.
Practical, but important.
Right. And think about its applications in other areas, like climate change. We can mitigate its effects through reducing emissions and investing in renewable energy. Or in economics with social safety nets and job training programs.
It's about being proactive, recognizing risks and taking action.
Exactly. We can't always prevent bad things from happening, but we can try to lessen their impact. It's a valuable mindset.
For sure. Welcome back to our vocab exploration. Ready for more word power?
Absolutely. It's amazing how much depth these seemingly simple words have.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. More to discover with each layer.
Love that. Okay, so up next we have austere, meaning severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance.
You know what comes to mind? Ancient Sparta. Their whole society, famous for warriors. They value discipline, self-denial, rejecting luxury.
Oh, interesting.
And their architecture, their way of life, it all reflected that. Fascinating how a culture's values can show up in their language and surroundings, right?
Totally. The source gives the example, monks often live in austere conditions with few possessions. But it's funny, austerity can be seen as both positive and negative, right?
Oh, for sure. For some people, austerity means freedom, freedom from material things, from the pressures of always wanting more. It lets you focus on what really matters. But for others, it can feel like you're being deprived, like you're missing out on the comforts that make life enjoyable.
It's like, imagine a room that's completely bare, just white walls and a single chair. Some people would find that peaceful. Others would find it cold and empty.
Exactly. It really comes down to each person's values, right? What one person finds liberating might feel oppressive to someone else.
Next up is fastidious, meaning very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail. I think our detail-oriented listeners will appreciate this one.
Well, yeah. I think of architects or engineers. They have to be so precise in their calculations and designs, making sure everything is perfect so the structures they build are safe.
The source uses the example, she is a fastidious editor, spotting even the tiniest mistakes. And it makes me think fastidiousness is often linked to professions where accuracy is crucial.
It's not just about being organized, though. It's deeper than that. It's like a need for things to be just right, a drive for excellence, which can be great, but also a bit challenging sometimes.
Imagine working on a project with someone who's super fastidious. They might drive everyone crazy with their attention to detail, but ultimately their input could make the whole project better.
True. It's about finding that balance, striving for excellence without getting stuck in perfectionism.
Speaking of getting stuck, our next word is lethargic, meaning affected by lethargy, sluggish, and apathetic.
We all know that feeling, don't we?
The source says, after staying up all night, I felt lethargic all day. Pretty relatable, I think.
Oh, yeah. But sometimes, lethargy can be a sign of something deeper, like burnout, depression, maybe even a medical condition.
It's like, imagine feeling lethargic for weeks on end, no matter how much sleep you get. That's when you need to pay attention and maybe talk to a doctor.
Exactly. Don't just brush it off as being tired. Sometimes your body's trying to tell you something's up.
Now, for a word that's all about generosity and forgiveness, magnanimous, meaning very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than yourself.
I think magnanimity is a quality we often see in people who have overcome big challenges in life. They faced hardship, experienced loss, and they've come out of it with a deeper understanding of people. They're more empathetic and compassionate.
The example the source gives is, despite losing, he was magnanimous in congratulating the winner. That's real sportsmanship.
Imagine a leader after a really tough election, reaching out to their opponent to work together. That's magnanimity, right?
Right.
Rising above the political battles and remembering we're all human.
It's a good reminder that true strength isn't about dominance. It's about forgiveness, empathy, building bridges instead of walls.
Okay, ready for a bit of mystery? Our next word is clandestine, meaning kept secret or done secretively, especially because illicit.
Oh yeah, this one always makes me think of spy novels. Secret agents meeting in dark cafes, secret codes, missions under the cover of darkness.
The source uses the example. They held a clandestine meeting late at night. Gets your imagination going, doesn't it?
But clandestine stuff doesn't always have to be about spies. It happens in everyday life too, right? Anytime there's a need for secrecy.
Think about activists organizing against a dangerous regime. They might have to meet in secret, be careful about how they communicate. Their actions might be clandestine, but their reasons could be really important.
Good point. So it's not always about doing something bad. It's about keeping it hidden for whatever reason.
Now let's talk about mitigate, meaning to make something less severe, serious, or painful.
This one's pretty practical. The source says, wearing a seatbelt mitigates the risk of injury in an accident. Simple action, big impact.
Exactly. And think about mitigating things like climate change. We can do that by reducing emissions, using renewable energy, or in economics, mitigating the effects of hardship with things like safety nets and job training.
It's about being proactive. We can't always stop bad things from happening, but we can try to lessen the damage.
Absolutely. It's a powerful way to approach problems.
Okay, last word for this part, and it's a doozy. Nefarious, meaning wicked or criminal.
This one sends shivers down my spine. It's like pure evil lurking in the shadows.
The source gives the example. The villain's nefarious plan was finally revealed. Classic villain moment.
But nefarious things happen in real life too, right? And often it's people in positions of power who abuse that power for their own gain.
Like corrupt politicians who only care about enriching themselves, or CEOs who prioritize profits over people and the environment.
Those aren't just greedy actions, they're morally wrong. They completely disregard the well-being of others.
It's a reminder that we have to be careful, hold people accountable, and never ignore injustice. Back for more amazing vocabulary. We're unlocking the final 5 words in our vault. These are the words that can truly elevate your communication, make you sound like a language pro.
I'm excited to dig into these last few words. They're really interesting.
All right, let's jump right in. Our next word is prolific, which signifies producing something in large quantities. Art, ideas, inventions, anything that comes from that creative spark.
I got it.
The source uses the example, Shakespeare was a prolific writer, producing dozens of plays and sonnets. What do you think? What drives that level of creative output?
It's a great question. Is it pure talent or maybe discipline, that constant search for inspiration?
Right. Is it something you're born with, or is it something you can develop?
Maybe it's a bit of both. Some people seem to be naturally more in tune with the world, They absorb experiences and turn them into art.
That's interesting.
But then you also have those who make it a habit, a daily practice. They show up and create, even when they don't feel inspired.
Oh, it's almost like a muscle, right? The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah, I like that analogy. The more you create, the easier it becomes.
Okay, get ready for this one. It's about flattery and manipulation. It's sycophant, a person who tries to win favor from wealthy or influential people by flattering them.
Ah, the sycophant, a timeless character, right? Always trying to climb that social ladder.
The example they give is, he's such a sycophant, always agreeing with the boss just to get a promotion.
It's not always about career advancement, though, is it?
You're right, you're right.
Sometimes it's that desire to be seen as part of the in crowd, to feel important by association.
True, true. But I think most people can see through it, Real power doesn't come from just being a sycophant.
No, it doesn't. Authenticity and integrity are way more valuable in the long run.
Okay, get ready to feel your brain expand. Esoteric, meaning intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest.
Okay.
The example is, quantum physics is an esoteric subject that few people truly understand.
Makes sense.
It's this idea that even within fields that we think we understand, there are levels that are just beyond most of us.
It's like there's this whole world of knowledge out there, but only certain people have the keys to unlock it.
Exactly. It's humbling, but also kind of exciting, right? There's always more to learn.
That's what makes it an adventure.
Okay, time for a word that's all about confusion.
Obfuscate, meaning to make something obscure, unclear or unintelligible.
Okay.
The example they give is the politician obfuscated his response to avoid answering directly.
Oh, classic politician move.
Right. It's all about creating confusion, diverting attention, and it's not just politicians who do it. Think about complicated legal contracts or marketing campaigns that make big promises but are actually quite vague. It's like they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be critical of the information we're given, Question things, seek clarity, especially when things seem deliberately confusing.
Developing those critical thinking skills is more important than ever these days.
And finally, we come to our last word, one that embodies pure wickedness. Nefarious, meaning wicked or criminal.
Oh yeah, that's a heavy one.
The source gives the example. The villain's nefarious plan was finally revealed.
Right out of a movie, huh?
But nefarious acts don't just happen in fiction. They happen in real life, too.
And sadly, it's often people in positions of power who commit them, abusing that power for their own gain.
Think about dictators throughout history who caused so much suffering and death.
Their regimes were based on lies, manipulation, a complete lack of respect for human life.
It's a sobering thought, but it's a reminder to stay informed, to hold those in power accountable, and to never be silent in the face of injustice.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And there you have it. We've reached the end of our vocabulary deep dive.
What a journey. We've gone from everyday words to words that are rarely used, from the positive to the, well, downright nefarious.
We've explored the history, the psychology, the impact these words have. But more importantly, we've seen how language can be a powerful tool. It helps us understand each other, connect with each other, and make the world a better place.
I think that's a great takeaway.
So to our listeners, go out there and use these words, explore them, play with them, let them enrich your conversations. And remember, the journey of learning never really ends. There are always new words to discover and new ways to express ourselves. Until next time, happy exploring. So, ready to supercharge your English vocabulary? We're talking not just good, but seriously impressive.
Yeah, like moving from okay to, whoa, they're eloquent.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're going to equip you with 60 powerful words.
Words you can actually use, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't some dusty dictionary deep cut.
It's about sounding smarter and speaking more confidently in everyday life.
In emails, presentations, even just casual chats.
Think of it as your secret weapon to making a real impact with your words.
Love that. Okay, so let's break down this arsenal, starting with descriptive adjectives.
Ah, yes. The words that make your language pop.
Instead of just smart, you could say someone is astute.
Which implies, like, real sharpness, not just book smarts.
Right. It suggests good judgment, too.
Exactly. And that subtlety, that shift in word choice, changes how you're perceived.
Makes you sound sharper yourself, probably.
For sure. Like, imagine writing a business email. You describe a colleague as astute.
Ooh, subtle bragging.
It implies you see them as insightful, adds to their credibility. And yours, by association.
That's a great point. I never thought of it that way.
It's choosing the right tool for the job. Right.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb, would you?
Nope. Now, let's say you're describing something imaginative, fun.
Instead of just random, what could we use?
Whimsical comes to mind. Evokes playfulness, creativity.
Ooh, I love that. Paints a more vivid picture.
It's like adding a sprinkle of magic to your language.
Could it ever be bad, though? Like in a super serious setting?
Good question. It highlights how context matters.
Whimsical is great for creative writing, casual talk.
But maybe not a formal business report where straightforward is key.
So it's balance, right? Descriptive, but appropriate to the situation.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's power up. Talking verbs, action words.
Verbs, the engines of our sentences.
They gotta have oomph.
Yeah, how do we make them pack a punch?
Instead of supported an idea, say you bolstered it.
Bolstered sounds way more impressive, doesn't it?
Right. Not passive agreement, you actively strengthened it.
Like you added some muscle to that idea. What else makes us sound persuasive?
How about spreading information? Instead of just spread, use disseminated.
Ooh, disseminated. Sounds official, strategic.
Exactly. It implies wider reach, deliberate action.
Not just gossiping, I'm disseminating vital intel.
And that brings up a key point. The right verb clarifies meaning.
No room for misunderstanding, that's good.
Like, mitigate means reduce severity, while exacerbate makes it worse.
Huge difference there, yeah. The wrong verb can totally change what you meant. Okay, so we've got Picture painting adjectives, action-packed verbs. Now, what about nouns, the brainy stuff?
Nouns, yeah, for intelligent conversations.
How do we sound smarter with nouns? Spill the secret.
Choose nouns that handle complex ideas subtly. Like, instead of a problem, you face a dilemma.
Dilemma does sound more sophisticated.
It suggests tough choices, no easy answers.
Not just a flat tire, it's a whole existential dilemma.
Right? Which can actually be helpful sometimes.
Oh, how so?
Say, in a business meeting, a complex deal
You frame it as a dilemma. What happens?
encourages thoughtfulness, collaboration, instead of rushing to a fix.
So it's less confrontational, more intellectual vibe.
Exactly. Another one, instead of contradiction, use paradox.
Ooh, paradox. Like something that sounds impossible, but maybe it's true.
Exactly. A seemingly absurd statement that could still hold truth.
It's like, this can blow your mind, but makes you want to lean in and listen.
Right. Using these nouns shows you can handle complex concepts.
So it's not just sounding smart, it's thinking smart.
Now we got to talk about sounding like a native speaker, right?
Idioms, phrasal verbs. Those are tricky, but fun.
They add color, personality, but
Yeah.
tricky.
Meaning's not always literal. Got to be careful.
But mastering them, that's key to fluency.
Okay, hit me with some idioms I can use right away to impress people.
How about jump on the bandwagon to join a popular trend?
Jump on the bandwagon. Perfect for all those things that suddenly everyone's doing.
Right, like a cultural wave you can't escape.
And it's not always negative, is it?
Sometimes it's just recognizing a good opportunity.
Like, hey, everyone's making sourdough bread. Maybe I should try it.
Okay, how about cut to the chase?
I hear that one a lot, but not 100% sure what it means.
Means get straight to the point, no wasted time.
Like a verbal shortcut. Skip the fluff, get down to business.
Precisely. Here's one for social situations. Break the ice.
Oh, like when you're meeting new people, it's awkward.
You do something to start conversation, ease the tension.
It's like metaphorically breaking that frozen barrier between you.
Exactly. And these are just the beginning. There are tons more out there.
But you said they can be tricky. What mistakes do people make with idioms?
Using them wrong or in the wrong situation.
Like break a leg. For good luck might not translate well in every culture.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to accidentally offend someone.
So it's understanding the culture behind the idiom, not just the words themselves.
Now, want to add some extra oomph to your sentences.
Okay, I'm listening.
We're talking adverbs for emphasis.
The seasoning, the spice, the drama. Bring it on.
One powerful one is adamantly.
Yeah.
Like, she adamantly refused to compromise.
Adamantly, that's serious conviction.
Right. You're drawing a line, not backing down.
Okay, that's intense. What about something more, like, deep and meaningful?
Profoundly works there. Deep impact, transformative.
So profoundly is more than just surface level. It really changes you.
Now, want to inject some caution. Little skepticism.
Ooh, good for those I'm not so sure moments.
Skeptically is your word.
Like he listened skeptically, raising an eyebrow.
Exactly. But remember, use adverbs carefully. Don't overdo it.
Right. Too much spice ruins the dish.
A well-placed adverb highlights too many just clutter things up.
So balance again, just like with everything else we've talked about.
Ready to dive even deeper? We've just scratched the surface here.
I'm so ready. My brain is already feeling more articulate.
Back for more. Excellent. Let's keep unearthing these vocabulary gems.
I'm so ready. Part 1 already has me thinking differently about adjectives like, wow.
So let's add some more to your toolbox. How about meticulous?
Meticulous. That sounds very precise.
It is. Someone who pays incredible attention to detail.
Like more than the average person would.
Oh yeah, way more. A surgeon during an operation, that kind of focus.
Or, I don't know, someone organizing their sock drawer by color gradient.
Exactly. But it's not always positive, you know.
Oh, interesting. Too much of a good thing.
Depends on the context, right? Meticulousness can be great.
But if you're so focused on tiny details that you miss the big picture...
Then it becomes a problem. Like a manager who can't see the forest for the trees.
Okay, so balance again. It's a recurring theme here.
Life lesson and a vocabulary lesson, all in one.
I like it. Okay, what about the word candid? That seems popular these days.
Candid is all about honesty. Straightforward, even if it's a bit blunt.
So no sugarcoating, just straight talk.
Exactly. It can be refreshing, especially when people are often afraid to be direct.
So being candid is about being genuine, even if it makes some people uncomfortable.
It's valuing truth over, like, trying to please everyone.
Makes sense. Okay, now for a word that sounds intense. Vehement.
Ooh, yeah, vehement is powerful. It's feeling something strongly.
Like passionately arguing for a cause you believe in.
Exactly. But think about it. Could too much vehemence be bad?
Interesting point. Like if you're trying to win someone over.
And you come on too strong, might push them away.
So passion's good, but maybe temper it with a little logic and respect.
Think of a lawyer giving a closing argument.
They got to be vehement to defend their client.
But also calm and reasoned, or the jury won't buy it.
Okay, that's a good example. Balance, yet again.
Now for something unpredictable. Erratic.
Ooh, I relate to that one. Life feels pretty erratic these days.
Erratic is all over the place, no clear pattern.
Stock market, weather, my sleep schedule, all erratic.
But here's the thing. It's not always negative.
Oh, really? Give me an example of good erratic.
Think about a jazz musician improvising a solo.
Their playing might seem erratic to someone who likes classical music.
But that's what makes it exciting. Unpredictable, keeps you on your toes.
Okay, so even words that sound negative can have a flip side.
Context is everything. Words are tools, you gotta know how to use them.
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just memorizing words.
It's understanding how language works.
Exactly. Now, more verbs. I need more action words.
Verbs are key. Remember bolster and disseminate from part 1.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Here's one that's useful, but not in a good way. Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. That sounds like it makes things worse.
It does. The situation was exacerbated by, and then you give the reason.
Like adding fuel to the fire, making the problem even bigger.
You see it a lot in news, explaining complex issues.
Now, what about the opposite? Like making things better?
Mitigate is
Yeah.
your word. Reducing the severity of something.
Damage control. Not solving the whole problem, but lessening the impact. That's important in so many fields.
Disaster relief, yeah. Or even just everyday life, mitigating stress, arguments.
I need to use mitigate more. Sounds very in control.
Now for one that makes you sound super smart. Scrutinize.
Scrutinize. That's careful examination, right?
Exactly. Looking for clues, details others might miss.
Detectives scrutinize a crime scene. Scientists scrutinize data.
It implies thoroughness, attention to detail, like you're using a magnifying glass.
Okay, that's a good one for when I want to sound impressive.
Now for something a bit sneakier. Undermine.
Undermine sounds kind of shady.
It can be. Weakening something gradually, often secretly.
Like rumors undermining someone's reputation.
Exactly. Or constant criticism undermining someone's confidence.
It's subtle but powerful. You don't see it coming until the damage is done.
Let's switch gears to something more, I don't know, heartwarming.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Commiserate.
Yeah.
To share in someone's sorrow.
Commiserate. That's about empathy, right?
Exactly. When a friend is going through something tough, you commiserate with them.
It's that feeling of, I get it, I'm here for you. Very human.
Okay, last verb for now. Illuminate.
Illuminate. Makes me think of light bulbs, ideas.
It's about making something clearer, easier to understand.
Like a good teacher illuminates a complex topic for their students.
Or a well-written article illuminates a current event.
It's bringing something out of the darkness into the light.
Here, finally, a simple but important one. Reiterate.
Reiterate means to repeat something,
Right.
but for emphasis.
Exactly. To make sure it's really sunk in, no room for misinterpretation.
Like, I want to reiterate, this is very important.
Okay, so tons of verbs, each with its own flavor.
I'm feeling very empowered verb-wise.
Now, ready for some noun power? Level up those conversations.
All right, we've tackled those vivid adjectives, those dynamic verbs. We even dipped our toes into the world of idioms.
Right. But there's this other category of words, kind of like the unsung heroes of good communication.
The behind-the-scenes crew making everything run smoothly.
Exactly. Connector words. They might seem small, but they're essential.
Connector words. Okay, give me an example. What do they do?
They help guide your listener or reader through your thoughts, create a flow.
Ah, so without them, it'd be like a bumpy road all over the place.
Exactly. Choppy, disjointed, hard to follow.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these little words matter a lot.
They're like the architects of clear communication.
Okay, so which connector words should we be paying attention to?
Let's start with ones that signal a contrast, like shifting gears in your argument.
Ooh, I like that. Turning a corner, but smoothly.
Words like, however, nevertheless, on the other hand.
However is definitely one I use a lot in writing.
It's a classic. Signals, okay, here comes a different perspective.
But what about nevertheless? It sounds more formal, maybe.
Nevertheless has a bit more oomph to it.
Like, despite what I just said, this other point still stands strong.
Exactly. It emphasizes that your argument is still valid, even considering counterpoints.
So if I'm in a debate, nevertheless is my secret weapon.
You got it. Now, on the other hand, is a bit different.
It sounds more like, let's look at both sides of this.
Right. It's more balanced, presents alternatives without necessarily picking a side.
Like, here's option A, and on the other hand, we have option B.
Perfect example. It encourages thoughtful consideration.
Okay, so we've got contrast covered. What else is there?
Adding information, building on what you've already said.
Like, and another thing, but fancier, right?
Words like moreover, furthermore, in addition.
Ooh, those sound impressive. Layering those ideas, making the argument stronger.
Each one has a slightly different nuance, though.
Oh, like what? Give me the moreover versus furthermore breakdown.
Moreover adds weight to your argument. Like, this next point is even more convincing.
It's the mic drop moment, but for arguments.
While furthermore is more about expanding on the previous point.
Providing more detail, going deeper into that specific idea. So it's not just a random list of points, they're connected.
Exactly. Now, in addition is the most versatile, I'd say.
Just a simple way to add another piece of information.
Yeah, it's like, here's another thing to consider along with everything else.
Keeps the conversation moving smoothly. Okay, so contrast, addition. What else?
Cause and effect. Essential for clear reasoning.
Ah, explaining how one thing leads to another.
Words like therefore, consequently, as a result.
These are like the logic connectors showing why things happen.
So instead of just stating facts, you're building a chain of reasoning.
But those words all sound kind of similar. What are the subtle differences?
Therefore is the most direct. Like, this must be true because of what came before.
It's a very confident conclusion based on the evidence you've given.
While consequently suggests a more indirect relationship.
Like, there might be other factors involved. It's not always so simple. Okay, so it's cause and effect, but with a bit more nuance.
Exactly. And as a result is somewhere in between, I'd say.
So we've got options, depending on how direct we want to be.
That's the beauty of language, right? So many tools to choose from.
This has been amazing. Seriously, my brain is buzzing with all these new connections.
That's what we aim for. And remember, the more you pay attention to these words,
the more I'll start using them naturally without even thinking about it.
You got it. It becomes second nature.
Well, I feel equipped to go out there and conquer the world, one connector word at a time.
That's the spirit. Remember, the power of language is in your hands.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into powerful words. We hope you've enjoyed this linguistic adventure.
And until next time, keep those words flowing. Keep those connections strong. All right, let's supercharge that everyday English, huh?
Sounds good to me.
We're going to dive deep into 33 words. 33 words.
Wow.
That'll make you sound, well, instantly more like a natural, confident English speaker.
I like it.
And this isn't just, your basic vocabulary lesson.
All right.
We're going way beyond that, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to uncover how native speakers, actually use these words, the subtle ways. You'll be surprised, I think.
You really will.
At the nuances.
Yeah, for sure.
That maybe you've missed before, even if you've been speaking English for quite a while.
It's true. Even simple words, right? Could have all these hidden depths to them.
Absolutely.
And using them correctly can make a big difference, I think.
Totally.
In how you come across, especially professionally.
Yeah, especially in professional settings.
Okay.
So our source material, this is designed for upper intermediate learners.
Yeah.
Which means you guys listening, you already have a pretty solid foundation.
Yeah.
We're just adding that, extra polish and precision.
That's a good way to put it.
Think of it like, you've got a good basic dish.
Okay.
And we're just going to add in those gourmet touches, really going to elevate the flavor.
I like that analogy. We've got some tasty ingredients to work with today.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with these essential words for daily conversations, right? This is the kind of stuff you need to just, navigate life.
Yeah, just get things done. Errands, appointments, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The building blocks, right?
Yeah.
Fluent communication. Master these, and you'll be able to handle almost any everyday situation, I think.
Totally. And the first word that jumps out at me is convenient.
Okay.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this too, native speakers use it to soften requests,
Oh, yeah.
or suggestions. Instead of just saying, can you meet me at 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
They'll say, would 2 p.m. be convenient for you?
That's a great observation. Yeah, it adds that layer of like politeness,
Yes.
consideration, right?
Yeah.
Which can really make your interactions, go much more smoothly. It shows that you're thinking about like their schedule and their preferences.
It's such a little linguistic trick,
It is.
but it makes you sound so thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, another word in this category is confirm.
Okay, yeah.
It's obviously important, right?
Right.
For making sure everyone's on the same page. But I've noticed it's also often used in emails, to add that sense of urgency or importance.
Totally.
You notice that?
Absolutely, yeah. Just adding a simple phrase like, please confirm your attendance. It can subtly nudge someone to respond quickly,
Yes.
right? And it shows that you're taking the matter seriously.
Yeah.
And you expect them to do the same.
Right. It's almost like a gentle reminder disguised as a polite request. That's good stuff. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to the workplace. Workplace and business vocabulary.
You love to see it.
I mean, you got to love it, right?
Well, they might not always spark joy,
Yeah, that's true.
these words, but they're definitely essential for, succeeding in a professional environment.
They really are. And one word that always makes people cringe a little bit is deadline.
Okay.
But, think about how native speakers use it, though. It's not always this harsh, immovable wall,
You're right. It's not always a hard stop.
Right.
Yeah.
They often soften it by using, phrases like let's aim for, or ideally we'd like to have this by.
Right.
It frames the deadline as a shared goal rather than a command.
Exactly.
So it's not just about meeting the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you communicate it, the tone.
Exactly. Yeah. And another word in this category I find fascinating is prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
Real power word, I think.
It is.
Because it shows that you're in control of your workload, right?
Yeah. It's like saying, I've got a lot on my plate,
Yeah.
but I know what's most important.
Yeah. And it can be a great way to, push back politely if someone is asking you to take on too much, right? You could say, I need to prioritize my current tasks, but I can take a look at that next week.
Okay. That's a good move. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try that one. All right. So let's talk about something a little bit less stressful, maybe. Shopping and money vocabulary.
Okay. I like it.
I got to admit, I do love browsing online stores and comparing prices.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't enjoy a good bargain hunt?
Right.
Yeah.
But even when you're dealing with money, there are subtle ways to use language that can make you a more informed and confident consumer.
I think so too.
For example, I've noticed that native speakers use purchase a lot
Yeah.
when they want to sound more deliberate,
Uh-huh.
intentional about their spending. It's not just buying something, it's making a considered choice.
You're right. It elevates it, right?
Right.
Buying to something more thoughtful, especially when dealing with larger purchases.
Exactly. Like you're saying, I didn't just impulse buy this.
Mhm.
I carefully considered my options and I made a conscious decision to purchase it.
Right. And that can be a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
Both for your own financial awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also for how other people perceive your spending habits.
Okay. Let's move on to social and entertainment vocabulary.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. The words we need to connect with others and have some fun.
Yeah, this is where language comes alive, I think. Sharing experiences, expressing emotions, creating memories.
And one word that immediately brings those good vibes is concert.
Oh, yeah.
I just love how it conjures up images of live music, crowds of people singing along, just pure energy.
It really does. It encapsulates a whole sensory experience, right? And notice how native speakers use all these vivid adjectives, right, to describe concerts. Unforgettable,
Yes.
electrifying, soul-stirring. They're painting a picture with their words.
They really are. It's they're inviting you to relive the experience with them. Now, another word in this category that's super versatile is host.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we already talked about how it can be used to subtly encourage action,
Right.
right? But it also has that more literal meaning of someone who welcomes and entertains guests.
It does, and it's interesting how that concept of hospitality extends beyond just social gatherings, right?
Yeah.
You can host a website, host a radio show. It's all about, providing a platform, a space for others.
So it's not just about throwing a party, right?
Right.
It's about creating that experience, the sense of welcome,
Yeah.
no matter the context.
That's what makes this word so powerful, right? It captures the essence of generosity
Yes.
and connection.
Okay, before we jump into the next set of words, I kind of want to pause and reflect for a second.
Okay.
What's like standing out to you so far? Any words you're particularly like excited to try out using in your own conversations?
I think for me, I'm really intrigued by how native speakers use, convenient and confirm to like subtly influence interactions, right?
Yes.
It's a good reminder that even like seemingly simple words can be used strategically to get a specific outcome.
100%. I'm already thinking about how I can weave those into like my emails, my conversations.
Yeah, and don't forget about like prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's a good one.
Such a powerful word for like setting boundaries.
It is. Managing
Expectations, both in like professional and personal settings.
Absolutely. It's like a magic word for staying in control of your time and energy. All right. Are you ready to explore some more?
I am.
I'm excited.
I'm eager to see what other like linguistic gems we uncover here.
I think we're going to find some good ones.
Me too.
All right, so let's keep this vocabulary train rolling.
Let's do it.
I feel like,
my
English muscles are getting stronger already.
For sure.
What's next on our list?
Well, let's delve into a word that's, essential for those moments when plans change.
Yeah.
The inevitable cancel.
Oh, yeah.
Cancel?
Yeah, it might not be the most pleasant word to utter.
No.
But mastering its nuances, I think, can save you from some awkward situations.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of last-minute cancellations.
Oh, sure.
And I think knowing how to, like, communicate those clearly and politely is key.
It really is. And it's not just about saying, I can't make it, right?
Right.
Native speakers will often use phrases like, something came up, or I have to reschedule, which, just sound less abrupt.
Yes.
And they offer, like, a sense of explanation.
Right. Without going into, like, unnecessary detail.
It's like, you're being direct, but also considerate.
Exactly. It's all about striking that balance. And that brings us to another essential word, feedback.
Oh, yeah.
We all receive feedback, whether we seek it out or not.
Sure.
And I think knowing how to use this word effectively can make all the difference in our personal and professional growth.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Feedback can be a powerful tool,
It is.
for learning and improvement, but it can also be kind of tricky to navigate. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I've noticed that native speakers often soften the blow of constructive criticism by framing it as observations or suggestions rather than like, outright judgments.
Right. So instead of saying, you should have done this or you did this wrong, they might say something like, I noticed that. Or have you considered? Right.
Yeah.
Creates a much more collaborative,
Yes.
a less confrontational tone.
It's like you're part of the solution instead of being the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears to something a little lighter. Yeah. Entertainment.
Fun.
I mean, this word just encompasses so many things that we enjoy.
It does, and it's a word that often comes with this sense of excitement and anticipation, right? Like native speakers will use phrases like, I can't wait to, or I'm really looking forward to when they talk about entertainment.
Hopefully.
Which I think adds to that feeling of eagerness.
Like they're already experiencing the joy even before it's happened.
Exactly.
And speaking of excitement, let's talk about bargains.
All right.
Who doesn't love a good bargain?
Bargain hunting. Yeah. It's practically a sport for some people.
It is.
And native speakers have like this whole arsenal of vocabulary for describing their amazing finds, right? So they might say something is a steal, a great value, or worth every penny.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like they're giving you permission to like indulge without feeling guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, on the flip side of bargains, there's the reality of expenses.
Right. That's true.
And this is where the words expensive and affordable come in.
Yeah.
It's not just about stating facts. It's about expressing opinions,
for sure,
preferences, right?
Yeah. Native speakers might say something like overpriced or a bit steep or reasonably priced, depending on the speaker.
So it's not just about the price tag. It's about how that price makes you feel and how you want others to perceive it.
Exactly. Using language to convey your personal value system when it comes to spending.
Love that. Okay, before we wrap up this section, Let's tackle a word that's super essential
Yeah.
for any consumer. Refund.
Oh, yes. Refund.
Ah, yes, the magic word, right.
Uh-huh.
That can, like, save the day when a purchase goes wrong.
Totally.
But I've noticed native speakers often approach refund requests with a certain level of, like,
Diplomacy.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just, like, demanding.
Right. They're very tactful about it. That
Yeah.
they might start by, expressing understanding, acknowledging the inconvenience before actually stating their request. So, phrases like, I understand this is probably not your fault, or I'm really disappointed with this purchase and I was hoping, things like that can go a long way in getting a positive response.
It's like you're appealing to their sense of fairness and customer service.
Exactly. And not just demanding a refund outright.
I love that. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
It's amazing how much depth and nuance there is to even the most everyday words.
It's true. And I think the key takeaway is that language is so much more than just, communication.
Yeah.
It's a tool for building relationships, expressing ourselves, and navigating the world around us.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So as we move into the final stretch of our deep dive, let's keep this idea of, like, strategic language use in mind.
Okay.
What are some other ways that we can use these seemingly simple words to make a big impact in our everyday lives? It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
How we can unlock, like, a whole new level of communication.
It's true.
Just by, like, fine-tuning our word choices.
It is, yeah.
And we've been talking about these 33 essential English words.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, already starting to see them in a new light. It's not just about knowing the definitions.
Right.
It's about understanding, like, the subtle ways native speakers use them to create these
very intentional
specific effects.
Yeah.
It's like having, like a secret code book.
It is, yeah.
For navigating these everyday conversations, workplace interactions, even those tricky moments when you need to, like cancel plans or request a refund.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And the best part is, these secret codes are actually pretty simple.
Yeah, I think so too.
To implement.
Once you're aware of them, right?
Once you're aware of them.
Yeah.
It's all about, like, paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
Listening to how native speakers use the language, and then, trying it out yourself.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of language. It's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So there's always room to play around with different words and phrases and see what works best for you.
That's such a good point. It's like, like learning a new dance move.
Oh, yeah.
You might feel a bit awkward at first.
Yeah, for sure.
But the more you practice it,
the
smoother and more natural it becomes.
Exactly. And just like dancing, the key is to have fun with it.
Yes.
Don't get too bogged down in the rules.
Right.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Yeah.
Just, the most important thing is to communicate effectively and connect with others.
I love that. And that brings me to a little challenge I want to give to our listeners.
Right.
Now that we've explored these 73 words, I want you to pick just 5 that really resonate with you.
Yeah.
5 words that you think you could start using more consciously in your everyday life.
Okay.
Maybe it's convenient for making those polite requests or prioritize for setting those boundaries at work.
Yeah.
Or even bargain for bragging about your latest shopping score.
I like it.
Whatever words speak to you, I want you to make a commitment to use them this week.
All right.
See how it feels? Notice how people react.
Yeah.
I bet you'd be surprised at the difference it makes.
I love that challenge.
Me too.
It's a great way to, put these words into practice and see the power of nuanced language.
Yes.
In action,
It's in action.
And who knows, you might even inspire others to start paying closer attention to their own word choices.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into everyday English, let's leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
Language is a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
There's always more to learn, more to explore,
Yeah.
and more ways to express ourselves.
I agree.
So keep those ears open, those minds curious, and those conversations flowing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Ever feel like you're just one or two phrases away from sounding like really fluent in English?
Yeah.
Well, we're diving into a podcast script today. It's called Fluent Conversations, and they say they found 15 of those magic words.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's not about like sounding super smart, right?
Right.
It's about that natural flow you hear, like, native speakers using, like, I can explain something perfectly, but it'll still sound like I'm reading it from a textbook.
Oh, for sure.
So to show us how it's done, this script has a conversation between these two friends, Emma and Jake.
Okay.
To show these words in action.
Okay, I like that.
And then it breaks down each word.
Gotcha.
Ready to eavesdrop.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Emma starts by saying, I ran into Sarah yesterday at the mall.
Okay.
Now Jake, he jokes that he pictures her, like, literally crashing into Sarah. Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's funny because run into is one of those phrases that doesn't translate literally, like it means to meet by chance.
Yeah, yeah.
But think about it. Doesn't it sound way more natural than just saying, I met Sarah?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, it's casual, right?
Yeah.
Off the cuff.
But I think there's, like, even more to it than just being casual.
Ooh, okay.
So choosing ran into instead of met, it kind of shows, like, a cultural preference.
Okay.
So in English, we often like to use more indirect language.
Huh.
Especially when we're talking about something that, like, we weren't expecting, like running into someone.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly.
There's so much packed into these, like, simple words.
For sure.
Okay, next phrase. Emma asks Jake, could you give me a hand with these boxes?
Okay.
Of course, Jake knows she just needs help, right?
Right.
Not a literal hand.
Uh-huh.
It's another example of this, like, indirect language thing.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely.
So give me a hand. It makes it sound nicer, right?
Yeah.
It's more like we're working together, not me demanding something.
Exactly. Exactly.
It assumes that, like, we're already on good terms.
Right.
Interesting. So even when we're asking for help, English speakers, we like to beat around the bush a little bit.
Well, it's not really like avoiding the question. It's more about,
Okay.
being polite
Okay.
and not sounding too direct or demanding.
Makes sense. Okay, so then Emma says, we need to wrap up this meeting soon.
Okay.
So wrap up, I feel like this is one of those words that you can use all the time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
In so many situations.
It works for meetings, projects.
Yeah.
Even just conversations.
Exactly. And what I think is so cool about this is it paints a picture in your mind, right?
Right.
It's like you're really tying everything up together. Yeah, I can almost see it.
Yeah, and I think because it's so visual like that, it makes it more memorable.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and easier to use.
Okay, next one. Emma says, I'll keep an eye on your bag while you get coffee.
Okay.
So it's more than just watching it, right?
Right.
There's, like, responsibility there.
Yeah.
Like saying, I got you covered.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so effective. It's like there's that deeper meaning,
Yeah.
It's not just the words, but it shows the trust between Emma and Jake.
Okay, up next, Emma says, hang on, I need to grab my jacket before we go.
Okay.
It's so simple, right?
Yeah.
But, like, so important for every day.
Oh, yeah. I use it all the time.
Who hasn't yelled that running out the door?
Yeah.
But, like, it's friendly, right?
Yeah.
It's not like an order. It's just like, hey, wait a sec.
It's just a quick little, hold on.
Yeah.
And it also, like, it implies it'll be quick,
Yeah.
You're not asking for a lot.
Okay, now this next one, I feel this one in my soul.
Okay.
Emma says, I messed up my presentation, but my teacher was really understanding.
Oh, yeah.
Mess up. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it doesn't sound as bad as, like, fail. Fail sounds so final.
Totally.
This is more like you tripped up, but you can recover.
Yeah. And it also shows that she's, like, taking ownership,
Yeah.
But without beating herself up too much about it.
Which is good life advice in general, I think.
Right.
Okay, now Emma asks Jake, can you drop me off at the bus station?
Mm-hmm.
Now this one's interesting
Oh, how so?
because it, like, kind of shows how we have certain social rules just with language.
Oh, boy.
Like, you wouldn't just ask a stranger to drop you off,
Right.
You're kind of doing them a favor.
Yep.
It assumes you already go in that way, and you're cool with going a little out of your way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's way more natural than saying, like, can you please transport me to the bus station using your vehicle?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Okay, what does Emma say next? So Emma says, I'll check it out and let you know.
Okay.
It's like the perfect thing to say if you want to show you're interested.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's way better than just saying, like, okay,
Right.
you're actually going to, like, do something.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's simple,
Yeah.
it shows you're, like, thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Okay, then Emma mentions she has to come up with a good idea for our project.
Oh, yeah, this is something we can all relate to.
Oh, tell me about it.
Whether it's for work
Mm-hmm.
or just, like, trying to figure out what to make for dinner.
Seriously.
It's that mental struggle. Like, you're trying to make something new.
Okay, next up, Emma gets excited and says, I'm looking forward to our trip next week.
Okay.
This one is just like pure excitement, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
And it's cool how she brings Jake into it,
Yeah.
by saying our trip.
Yeah.
It makes them, like, closer because they're both excited.
Okay, but then reality hits. Emma says, I need to figure out how to fix this problem.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Oh, for sure.
This just shows, like, you're not going to give up.
Right.
You're going to find a way to fix it.
Exactly.
So we already saw her mess up earlier, and now she says, I was late, but I made up for it by bringing coffee.
Oh, nice.
Smooth, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, you messed up, but you're going to make it right.
Yeah, it's like a little apology, but without actually saying sorry.
I like that.
It's like, you messed up, but you're trying to fix it.
Okay, then things get a little dramatic. Jake says he passed out from exhaustion.
Okay.
So it means to faint, right?
Yeah.
But by adding, like, from exhaustion,
Right.
you really know how tired he must have been. Like, he couldn't stay awake.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting to the end of their conversation, and Jake says she showed up late to the party.
Okay.
So he's just saying what happened, right?
Right.
But showed up, it kind of sounds like he's, like, judging her a little.
Yeah, like it was her choice to be late.
Yeah.
Not something, that she couldn't control.
Interesting.
Yeah. So even a little word like that, it can show what you really think.
Okay, finally, Jake says, we had to put off our meeting until next week.
Mm.
I feel like this is so much nicer than saying we canceled.
Oh,
Like, it's not gone forever.
Right. It's just waiting for a better time.
Yeah, like we're still committed.
Exactly.
So that's all 15 words in
Yeah.
action.
That was cool.
And remember, the podcast, we're deep diving into fluent conversations. They give you a challenge.
Oh, fun.
So they have 3 sentences.
Okay.
And you have to figure out which word fits best.
Okay.
First one, I link my keys, and now I can't find them anywhere.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
So relatable.
The perfect word is messed up.
Okay.
Because it's your fault, and you're like frustrated because of it.
Second challenge, I'll blank your dog while you're on vacation.
Okay.
So this one is all about taking care of something, right?
Right.
So the answer is keep an eye on. Much better than saying, like, I will supervise your canine.
Oh my God, yeah. Way too formal.
Okay, last challenge, let's blank dinner until next week.
Okay.
So we're just moving it to later.
Yeah.
The best word here is put off. It's like hitting the pause button.
Exactly.
I love how, like, effortlessly those words fit into the sentences.
Yeah, it's like they were made for them.
And that's why it's so important to master these, like, everyday words.
Right.
Because they make you sound so much more fluent.
Exactly. It's like building blocks for your conversation.
So we learned a lot, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Just from those 15 words.
Right. And just like hearing them in a normal conversation.
It's kind of crazy how much we can pick up just from that.
It really shows you that like fluency isn't about, knowing every word in the dictionary.
Right.
It's more about like how you use those words to connect with someone.
To really get your point across.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what does this all mean for, like, our listener?
Well, it means they can like totally improve their fluency
Okay.
just by like looking at the phrases they use every day.
Yeah. Instead of just saying stuff without thinking.
Right. Like actually think about why you're using that word.
Okay. Yeah.
And like how it makes the other person feel.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And if you can do that, you'll sound so much more natural.
And confidence is... So, okay, we get it. We got to use the right words. But, like, how do we actually do that?
Good question. Well, I have a challenge, kind of like in the Fluent Conversations podcast.
Okay.
Think about some other simple phrases that you could start using today.
That would make us sound, like, more natural.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but I think like one thing you could do is like pay attention when you're watching a movie
Okay.
or a TV show and see how they say things.
Oh, yeah, steal their lines, basically. And then, like, actually use them when you're talking to someone.
Right, don't be scared to try it out.
Yeah, and see what works, see what feels good.
Exactly, it's like a little experiment.
I love
We
that.
can even like all share what we find.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
Everyone can like learn from each other.
Because at the end of the day, language is about connecting with people, right?
Yeah, it's about like building relationships, sharing what you think.
Exactly.
And the better you are at English, the easier that is to do.
So true. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep those conversations flowing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy language adventures.